So here's my Dax125. I have just under 9,000 miles. 8,888. So I'm gonna change the air filter here. I actually don't have a Honda air filter because this bike is pretty new. Usually the first year when Honda comes out with a new model, the first year they usually don't have the air filter available. It's usually the second year and so I haven't checked the owner's manual to see when you're supposed to change the air filter, but I believe it's 7,500 miles. So that's usually the case, at least for at least for scooters it is. So I don't see any difference between this and a scooter, because the engine is about the same size. So you take out these two rivets right here. There's one right here and there's one right in here. This is what the little toolkit is. Right? Actually, let me put these aside somewhere before I lose them, because I have to take off this plastic here. It's down here. Actually, let's put all this down here. Put all that down there. Let's see. So it's moving. You know what's being held right here by the cap. Sure, it's not so dirty where you have shit dropping into your gas. And it just goes out like so. There's right here. There's a little drain plug, or drain hose, I should say. You see the hose over here on the side. See that little line right there? That's the hose. See right there? That's the hose. So that's if you have overflow of gas, it will drop down in it and it will flow down. So you can either pop that off or not. In this case, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna lift this up, because all you need to do now is these 4 screws here, plus head screwdrivers, JIS screwdrivers, Japanese industrial standard, not Phillips. People always think these are Phillips. They're not Phillips. There is a difference between them, and the main difference is geometry. I talk about this in my other videos whenever I use a JIS plus head screwdriver, and it's mainly the geometry difference. As far as physically what's different is the geometry of the head itself. Okay, actually, let's put this cap back in here so that way I don't have to breathe in these fumes, gas fumes, because my face is right here. And also keep that dirt from going in there. So JIS screwdrivers, so the difference, physically the difference between them is the geometry, but practically, from the practical perspective, the difference is how they function because of the geometry. On a Phillips screwdriver, when you torque it too much, what happens with this Phillips screwdriver is that the screwdriver head, the screwdriver, the right here head, it will actually cam out of the screw. It cams out, so it actually lifts out. And that's because of the geometry. On a JIS, Japanese industrial standard screwdriver, it doesn't do that. It stays in there. It doesn't cam out. And it's up to you, the user, to determine how much torque to put in there. So basically, what does that mean? That means, yes, you could over torque it if you're not careful. And when you over torque it, people think when you over torque, you're like, oh, strip the head and stuff. In this case, it's not going to strip the head, because I don't think you're able to put enough torque into it to do that on a screwdriver by hand. Maybe on like an impact driver, but what happened is that you will strip the threads, not necessarily the thread of the screws, but the thread of what is screwed into. Say, for example, this airbox here, it's plastic. So if I tighten it too hard, it will strip that plastic, right? So that's the difference of philosophy with American philosophy of working things. And this comes, this dates back to Henry Ford. It's all about that mass production, low skill labor. Anyone could do it. to get the mass production going. So that works and all, but the problem with that is that so it's being held on by this hose in here. I'm trying not to lose my screws. So here's the clean side of the airbox. So it's perfectly clean. You can see there's no dust in there, so that's good. It's a good sign. Let's put this down here. I don't want to lose my screw heads. So let's look at the dirty side, huh? So yeah, so Henry Ford with that production line require little skill, right? So little skill, part of the Phillips head screwdriver is that well, this is really clean. It's hardly dirty at all. Actually, that's a good thing. That's because of where it is, with the placement of this air filter. It's all the way underneath the seat, so it stays clean. You know, it's not somewhere low by the tires or something like that where it kicks up dirt. So I'm gonna keep on going with this thing. Look how clean it is. So you only have this little patch of dirt there, you know, in the middle section of it. This side has hardly much. That's because the reason why this side is dirty is that's the angle where the air comes in. It hits this spot right here first. That's why it's that has that dirty patch. But the rest of it's really clean. So actually, I'm not gonna replace this. I'm gonna keep on using it. I'm gonna call this good. So maybe, man, that's almost 9,000 miles. So if that's almost 9,000 miles, is that clean? I'm gonna say this filter is probably good for like 15,000 miles. So yeah, so that's pretty impressive. I'm pretty impressed by that. All right, let's stick this back in here. Since I didn't touch nothing, everything should be still nice and clean. Let's see. I want to be more careful. Let me put the filter back on because the filter has a little lip on it. So let me put it back in this way. There's a little lip on it. That just sits in there, so that way it doesn't move. See that? It doesn't move. Okay. And I just stick this back on, and I didn't lose any of my head. That's good. Okay. So yeah, so the Japanese with their screwdriver is dependent on the person using it, depending on their skill level. So with the Japanese philosophy, it's relying on the skill level of the person. You know, how good they are at their skill. Whereas with the American philosophy, you know, specifically Henry Ford, the philosophy of low skill, so that way everything is fast and cheap. Whereas someone that's higher skill is more expensive and I wouldn't say slow, but usually higher quality things does take a little bit more time to make than low quality things. So yeah, so anyways, that's the philosophy difference between American made things and Japanese made things. Japanese made things is dependent on high skill labor, whereas American made things is dependent on low skill labor and basically it's more dependent on engineering to engineer something to be made quickly and easily and cheaply. And whereas Japanese, they don't necessarily have that same philosophy. Right? So that's the difference. So in this case, you know, again, this thing is plastic. If I just keep on cranking this thing, it will strip. So I can actually, with my, you know, if you're more experienced, you know that okay, as you get tighter in here, it actually gets a little bit more resistance, and it gets more. And if you keep on going, it's not going to stop, because if you keep on going, because plastic is so soft, it will just strip. Right? So you have to know when to stop. That's good. Okay. So anyways, so that was the air filter, and yeah, so it's in perfect shape. Let's stick this gas cap out and put this back in. And slide this in. Okay, what? No, I didn't get my hose right here back yet. Yeah, jeez. There we go. Okay, hose back in right there. This case here, this hose was never disconnected, so we're good there. Just kind of slide this in here, wiggle a little bit, wiggle a little bit. Like so. Everything lines up. Let's take this back on. So my hose line up right there. Get my rivet here, plastic rivet. So these rivet, how they work is, so when they're in, they're like that. To take them out, you push the center in. The reason why it's flush right here is that it flares out. See how it flares out, and it stays flared out. So that's how it works. But when you push the center in with this screwdriver here. When you push the center in, it allows that flare to be able to squeeze in, so that way it's narrow, so it's not flared out, right? And that's how you take it out. To put it back in, you pop it so that way the center is sticking out, so that way it does the same thing where these flares could squeeze in and be narrow. All right. It's kind of hard to do this with my left hand because I'm right-handed. Let's see if you guys can see that. See if the holes are lined up. Oh, there it goes. So you see it goes in. Now I push this in. It flares it out, so now it can't come out anymore because it's flared out. So same thing with this one right here. Do the same thing, and put your tube kit back in, and you're done. All right. Thanks for watching.